the Packers have just wrapped up their second preseason game, this one against the New Orleans Saints. And Ryan, their first preseason win in quite a few years.
It's been a while. I don't follow final scores, though, so it's not really my thing. How long has it been?
I heard somewhere in the 2018-2019 range. I can't quite remember. It was pre-2020. Of course, scores don't matter in the preseason. It's all about the performances, but still a nice little notch for the history book. Let's talk performances, though, starting with Jordan Love, quarterback Jordan Love. I think his final stat line was like 12 of 24. Really not indicative of the night he had, though.
Second straight week, too. Second straight week that the final box score really betrayed the film, because the film is pretty good. Now, he's still missing a few of those bunnies, and it'll happen. I mean, he's not Aaron Rodgers. This is not Aaron Rodgers mind-warping a defense, but that's not the standard that the Packers are holding Jordan Love to. It's not a standard that you hold most NFL quarterbacks to. And I think that it's really easy to forget what standard the Packers should be holding Jordan Love to, which is, can he be a serviceable backup quarterback? Because that's his role on this team, and it's a role that he epically failed at last year. He was not a serviceable backup quarterback last year. So really the goal, the development for him this offseason was to get to that point. And watching his first two games, Kassidy, I don't think that there's any question that he's much more capable of doing that than he was at any point in the past 2 years. He's the way that this Packers team, the roster is constructed by Brian Gutekunst with that vaunted defense, with the run game, is to be able to have steady quarterback play, hold the water if they miss Aaron Rodgers for a week or two, which they missed him for a week last year when he tested positive for COVID-19. This version of Jordan Love can do that. He was steady again, had it more pressure tonight, no real glaring mistakes. The 12 of 24 is not indicative of how he played. The way he played was a guy that can carry the water if he needs to. That's a big development for this team.
It is starting to rain here in Lambeau, so this will be fun to see how we do over the next few minutes here. Sorry, let's stick with some of the rookies. Romeo Dobbs, of course, has become one of the biggest names out of camp so far. Had another night tonight, almost kind of like he had in San Francisco. Really, really good moments, really, really bad moments. He started with the bad moment tonight and then bounced back with a 17-yarder that Matt LaFleur really gave him a lot of credit for, and a touchdown. Before he did his Lambeau leap, Brian, he laid right here in this corner of the end zone and did a little grass angel. I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, I really just needed to lay there for a second and take it all in.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
But let's talk about the bad moment, because we knew he was capable of good moments like that touchdown where he went up over a defender, caught that ball, climbed the ladder to really get it. But that bad moment, quote unquote, at first you and I thought he and Jordan Love might have just been on different pages. They both sort of said it wasn't so much different pages, it was just how they read the play, which can come down a lot to chemistry. Is that a concern, or is that just something a rookie has to learn?
Yeah, it's a young guy being a young guy. It was a fade ball, and Matt LaFleur said that ball that Jordan Love threw on the initial third down of the game is a ball that's supposed to be toward the outside shoulder, which is where Jordan Love threw it. And Romeo Dobbs is supposed to catch it from the inside shoulder, which is where he turned. And then when the ball was in midair, Romeo Dobbs thought it was best to then adjust to the outside shoulder. Instead of what he was supposed to do was fade that route to the sideline and then have it drop over, because that way he's going away from the DB, going away from the coverage. The ball was where it needed to be. That happened a lot tonight, Kassidy. The ball was in a lot of these, there's 4 or 5 drops. There was the play to Samori Toure down the left sideline, a perfect ball. Jordan Love got the Saints defense to bite to the backside of the play, then rolled left and delivered it perfectly down the sideline. There was the ball where he layered it over a linebacker to Amari Rodgers on 3rd and 5. Would have been an 18, a great throw too, because it was over the linebacker, and it was thrown behind Amari Dobbs. It was thrown behind Amari Rodgers because the safety was trailing him, and so he needed to put it. He was coming over, so he needed to put it behind, and that's where the ball was. Wasn't able to finish the play, the catch to the ground. It was a lot of those throws tonight, and he's been a lot more accurate. He's let it rip more. He's been much more confident in this offense, and you're seeing that.
Some of the guys that had a rough night, let's just talk about that, because we do have another round of cuts coming up on Tuesday. you hate to say it after such a promising camp, but 2 weeks in a row now, Tyler Davis has just had a bad game. Tonight gave up a fumble that was just ripped right out of his hands.
Yeah, no, it's, I thought the going back to the Packers defense, kind of making some plays. I thought that you saw some depth tonight. Sean Davis has had a great knack for being around the ball all camp. Was a little late on the Chris Olave touchdown, but he had the fumble recovery tonight, right place, right time, returned it 37 yards. You've seen some depth kind of percolate a little bit. So I think that while we know what the starting defense is going to be, you're seeing some depth start to develop there.
What about on the offensive side of the ball? Tyler Davis had the fumble ripped away from him. Is that what we just talked about? Sorry, it's getting late here at night. Is this kind of where you're starting to see these cuts getting made easily for Brian Gutekunst?
Second straight week that Tyler Davis's hands led to a turnover. It didn't bounce off his hands to a safety this week, but he's having a rough camp. The Packers had high hopes for him. Now Robert Tonyan is back and will be on the 53-man roster. That means that a tight end that was going to make it if he stayed on PUP is not going to make it. And when you're having the inconsistent hands that Tyler Davis is having, that's not boding well. He's got to be able to turn it around. Will he get cut? It's too early to say, but he's played his way onto the bubble.
John Dixon with a good question. Are we going to sign wide receiver Kenny Stills? Now, just for some context, if you did not see it earlier today, Kenny Stills put out a report came out that Kenny Stills had made it known that he would like to come to Green Bay, and apparently has for a couple of years now, and is really, really hoping to this offseason. Ryan, I know that this wide receiver unit still has a lot of questions. We felt like over this week some of the rookies were really starting to step up. I know Torrey had that drop tonight, but does this unit need someone like Kenny Stills after you've seen them in 2 preseason games now? Do they need someone like Kenny Stills?
They could use all the talent they can get, and the more experience, the better, because it's very young. What do we know about this past week in Packerland? Aaron Rodgers had the meeting with the young receivers after calling them out and saying they had to get better and soon, and then followed it up with the meeting. He said on the sideline of the Packers television network that it was not a come-to-Jesus meeting. He did not rip into him. It's just a standard film session meeting to show him some stuff on film, but it's a young group, and guys like Romeo Dobbs, Amari Rodgers, they've made plays, they've made mistakes too, and with this quarterback, he's very demanding, right? I mean, he has a high threshold of expectation, and if you don't meet it, as he said this week, you're not going to play. So, yeah, if a guy becomes available, whoever it is, and they feel that they can add talent and experience, veteran savvy and know-how, that's a good fit on this receiver depth chart right now.
If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. We'll take 1 or 2 here before we do sign off. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers on the Packers Network during the game, great moment. Camera caught him. He was doing an on-field interview when Danny Etling broke free for a 51-yard touchdown. He told us after the game it was essentially a read option keeper and the safety shaded over, so he had nothing but green grass. He was going to take it. He showed a little speed. Aaron Rodgers had just said, we know Danny Etling's an athlete, and he certainly proved Rodgers right. Danny Etling called it 12 magic that it happened right after he said that. But is that what you kind of need to see from a guy? You let Ben Kurt go. Is that what you need to see from a guy that you're going to keep around possibly on this practice squad?
Well, I hadn't seen much of Danny Etling being able to play his way onto the practice squad through the early parts of camp. And then this is why we always talk about preseason games matter, because it's live. Mm-hmm. And once it gets live, holy smokes, dude can run. He did the same thing against the 49ers, right? I mean, he made some plays with his legs there. Yeah, that's the type of athletic quarterback play that, if he has another one of those, you start wondering, can they get him through to the practice squad? And I would imagine that he can, but this league is not deep in backup quarterback play. Athletic guys that can make plays all around with their game. Danny Etling is showing himself to be that. It was a good night for him, because that's what those guys want. They want to put good film out there to make it difficult to get through if they get released through the waiver claim. And that's the goal of all these guys that are not going to make the 53, and that's what Danny Etling's doing.
I covered Danny Etling in college, and he always was known for his legs and his speed, and then he was hurt his last year, and he made the comment to me tonight. He said, my senior year at LSU and then first couple of years in the league, I was hurt and then recovering. I think people forgot I could do that. And so definitely good to see if the Packers are going to be able to keep him on their practice squad. Definitely good to see what he can do. Jeffrey Peters here has what I think is a fantastic idea. He said only play special teams versus the Chiefs. Work out all those kinks. Punts, returns, kickoffs, only thing. Ryan, at one point tonight, they had 12 men on the field.
Yes.
The next special teams play,
yeah,
they had 10. Technically, it averages out to 11, but not quite what you want to see when this is supposed to be the unit that is getting a major makeover.
Were you in the LaFleur press conference, or did you go to the other side? Okay, so yeah, I mentioned that to Matt LaFleur, and let's just say that he did not like it. He asked why I was always so negative. I think he was kidding. I'm not sure. I reminded him that I did start the press conference by asking about Jordan Love's solid play. So it's a sensitive topic right now, and it should be, because it can't. I mean, this was what Rich Bisaccia was supposed to end, right? The clerical errors, count right, get the right guys on the field, the right number, and it's startling that they're still not doing that. And I think this is something they're certainly not taking lightly, but they've got to fix. They got to fix it before week 1. This cannot continue.
Do you think there's anything to possibly getting Dallin Levitt back? You know, he told us this week he was probably going to be back sooner than expected. That's essentially what he was brought in here to do, to sort of be the captain of the special teams ship for Rich Bisaccia.
The way Rich Bisaccia put it this week was that when offensive players step in a huddle with Aaron Rodgers, the hair on their arms, the back of their neck, stand up. You're on alert. You know that you have to be on your P's and Q's, because that's Aaron Rodgers. And there's a high demand for the technical way that you play, the fundamentals, being accountable to your assignment, and that he expects special teams players to do the same when they step into a huddle with Daniil Levitt. And so they need him back soon. I mean, Rich Bisaccia, from a leadership standpoint for that unit, compared Levitt to Aaron Rodgers. That's the presence that he's expected to have. Without him, yeah, it makes a difference.
Final question here from John Dixon, because a guy that we really need to focus on. He asked, is Micah Abernathy's safety going to make the 53-man roster? He is really fast. We talked to him in the locker room tonight, Ryan, and he made the comment. He said, I wanted to come in and show the coaches that I can play fast, I can play strong, and he emphasized fast yet again. He's been here for 8 days. He just came in from the USFL. He said, I think that's helped me because I came in football shape. I was ready to hit the ground running. All of that to say, with this safety unit sort of thin right now because Levitt is hurt, rain is really coming down now. We're going to make this one quick.
I swear I'm not doing a rain dance right
Does Micah Abernathy really have an opportunity here, because he's made the most of it if it's there?
There's an opportunity. I think he's played his way on to the bubble. There's still a long way to go for him to actually make the 53. It's an uphill climb for him coming in late to camp. He's behind a plethora of guys. Now, one guy that we'll see is Vernon Scott. Right, he left the game with a shoulder injury. We don't know how serious that is, but there's no question that for Micah Abernathy, it is an uphill climb. He started as a clear long shot, might have played his way onto the bubble, but he's got to be almost. I mean, it's a pinhole that he's got to thread to get to this 53 from here on out, and I think he knows that, and we'll just see if he's able to build off of what he did tonight.
He threaded a pinhole tonight, picking off Ian Book. Tripped over Taysom Hill to do so. Somebody asked him, did you think you were in bounds? He said, I didn't. I was just going to act like it. But he was. As we said, Packers beat the New Orleans Saints here in their second preseason game. Score doesn't matter, but performances from the offense and defense, some of the depth guys tonight, little encouraging as they head into their final week. They will face the Kansas City Chiefs next Thursday in their final preseason game. We will cover it for you all. Stay tuned to PackersNews.com for full wrap-up coverage of this preseason game, and then full coverage leading into the game next week versus the Kansas City Chiefs, during which we might see some more starters. They have campaigned for it this week, Ryan.
He was asked again tonight, Matt LaFleur, if Aaron Rodgers is going to play, said that they haven't discussed it quite yet, but at no point this entire preseason in camp has he said no, that Aaron Rodgers, the starters, are not going to play in that preseason finale. So we'll ask him again. And if he says we'll see, then we'll ask him again. That's just how it's going to work. But he hasn't said no.
That means there's a chance. So you saying there's a chance. There's a chance. Like I said, whatever happens, we'll be there for you to cover it for you all on PackersNews.com. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. For Ryan, he's Ryan. I'm Kassidy. Woo! It's late. Training camp is over. He's Ryan. I'm Kassidy.